Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
The podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are finishing the epic series by Alan Moore.
MiracleMan.
MiracleMan.
I don't know. We'd have to give him a theme song. MiracleMan.
We'll just do like Family Matters because it's all about the Miracle Family.
It is. It's true. Yeah, that's the 50s version for the old school show.
There you go. Yeah. Or Sanford and stuff. Boom, boom, it.
Yeah, that's true. It's going, and then you just see him kind of come in and look at the screen, kind of thing.
Yeah,
too many cooks.
there you go. Yeah, but we did MiracleMan Volume 3, which is called Olympus, and I gotta say, first, okay, so I went in. Me and John were at the highest high probably about this book. John, you said a 7.5, and I was at a 9 last week. Ready to fucking have this thing blow my goddamn mind.
Yeah, we kept talking like man, like for Alan Moore's first.
Yeah, how could this
be? Holy crap.
And I gotta say, not spoiling too much about it, but good God, this went the wrong way completely. So we will get into it more, but just know that, everybody, this was the weirdest, not correct way I think you should end a story like this possible. And I don't know how Alan Moore... basically Alan Moore, he's won the game. It's the last throw. All he needs to do is not give it to the team. The other team. And he throws the ball.
Matt with sports.
Yes, I don't know. He gets a home run in the hockey net. Intercepted.
Yeah, that's what
He intercepts the home run, and then everybody gets out.
Goal!
Yeah. So, but yeah, basically, let's just say he thinks he's won. Maybe he just started celebrating, and they're like, the clock's not done. Yeah. And then the team scored 10 other,
it's the guy that's like, you just have to score
home runs for real this time on accident.
You have to make that last score, and he's like running into but he's like doing like a dance.
Then he gets tackled, and then
at the 1 yard line,
and then it fumbles, and then the other team scores twice in that amount of time somehow.
Yeah,
and they win.
Well, to be fair too to Alan Moore, because again, we really enjoy Alan Moore's work.
Yeah,
is that we don't know the context of maybe just because of the way this one feels. We were talking about it. We don't know the context of like maybe was he expecting this to be longer, and so this got because all this the big point of this is that this all feels technically not rushed, but like he had to cram a lot of information into 6 issues, and we're like, it just comparatively.
Yes, the other issues had so much breathing room. We were talking about the last one. He talks to a kid for a whole issue. Just, hey there, Timmy.
Yeah,
and then it's like they said, oh, by the way, I like what you're doing, but I know you wanted to have 30 more issues to explain what happened. You have 6. And he's like, oh, shit. But you have to finish the storyline. So then he just kind of does his thing to figure out how to do that. And it just, he finishes it, but it is not the way I would do it. So granted, I am not fucking Alan Moore, so what do I even have to say that?
As we talked about him last time, coming out of the womb with a beard and
yes,
and a
he still was, man, but he was, he didn't come out of the womb with an editor. Maybe that guy from DC or Eclipse or whatever was like, hey, do it like this, and he had to do what he had to do, and maybe that's why he doesn't put his fucking name on this stuff anymore.
That's true.
So I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Maybe this is his favorite thing he's ever done.
Alan Moore, if you want to come on and set the record straight.
Yes, we will talk.
The invitation is open.
Yes, we will talk to Alan Moore and do an interview. I'm sure he will love us and our stupid takes on his work. And and he will not have anything bad to say about us. You're a fellow bearded man. Yeah. You can talk to him. Y'all just show your face on it. It'll be good. How much do you know about magic?
Not enough.
I'll fill in the magic parts.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So this book, if you forgot what happened in the last time, in the second book story arc, basically MiracleMan. Oh, we'll just fill in the whole thing. In the first book, MiracleMan came out of his slumber in the dimension he was in for the first time in 30 years because there was a guy named Mike who is now 45. He said a word that he'd been dreaming about. It ends up he was the superhero MiracleMan from the 50s and 60s, and he'd been asleep until the 80s in this pocket dimension, which is how this works. So there's a pocket dimension with your body, and then when you say the word, MiracleMan comes out of that pocket dimension, you go into that pocket dimension. Nothing bad happens to you the whole time. You just are in stasis, and MiracleMan can do whatever he wants. So ideally, you would switch off and on and all that stuff. Then in the second book, we figured out, okay, he's got an evil bad guy that created this whole thing. And basically, it's stolen alien technology that this guy, Dr. Gargunza, bastardized to make MiracleMan and the whole Miracle family. And then he tries, the reason why he did that was because he wanted to have a body, like a super body, for himself because he was too old to do the procedure himself. And turned out that failed. And now that MiracleMan, who got Mike's wife pregnant, is pregnant, he kidnaps her and is like, your baby's going to be my new body. So that was like the setup. MiracleMan defeats him. So Big Bad's gone. And then we set up at the very end of the second book, the real Big Bad is going to be Kid MiracleMan.
Who had gone crazy.
Yeah, who had gone crazy and kidnapped or like put his kid self in the pocket dimension for a long time. For the 30 years, basically. And basically the superhero, the Kid MiracleMan, came out and was just like grown up now. So he's like 35 or whatever. And he had just become like a, Jeff Bezos or something, or whatever. Like a smart, rich dude or whatever. But apparently he was evil and had evil intentions. Basically, the evilness only came out once MiracleMan came out again because he was like, I want to be the only one. And if you're here too, you're going to spoil that shit. So I'm going to kill you. And they had a big epic fight. And at the end of that fight, he accidentally said his magic word, which turned him back into the boy. And then that traumatized him. And the boy's name is Johnny. Traumatized Johnny so much because he was stuck in a fucking dimension for
30 years.
30 years. He's like, jeepers, what happened? He still talks like it's the 50s. He's like, what the fuck's going on? He still remembers all the people he killed and all that stuff. So, definitely it traumatizes him. So he's been in an asylum where he hasn't been able to talk. And we just find out that Kid MiracleMan has been in his head as well, but his body's also in the dimension or whatever. So, yes, that is where we left off. And we know, okay.
The baby is born. Too.
Yes.
Baby's born at the end.
Yes, the baby is born. And so
name her Winter.
Yes, Winnie. And so that's kind of where we start off, except we don't. We jump ahead 5 years. So we started off in 1982, and now it's 1987 for some reason. And we find out MiracleMan is in this palatial fucking place called Olympus, and he's, looking around and you see a Dr. Gargunza fucking butt. Like, he's had time to even feel bad for his enemies so much that he's like, hey, I'll just make a statue of my enemy. Remember when that guy fought me? That was crazy. And then he's got a book of metal that he's writing these memories in. So this is my whole...
He's writing The Hobbit.
Yes, he's writing There and Back Again. Can you imagine if The Hobbit was... Or The Hobbit was told like this?
Would not enjoy it.
Just from this point of view?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the whole reason why I fucking hate this book. I don't hate it, but why I was so disappointed in this book. It is all him on Olympus recalling what happened. Each issue. So it's just him with a lot of writing. This is where once again, if Alan Moore did this on purpose, I'm like, why the fuck? This is not a comic book. This is not how you tell a story in comic books. Because he's literally just exposition, and then you just see a picture of what he's talking about. Like, I want to see the action on the page. I don't want to read you, write about it and then see you punch Kid Miracle Man while you're talking about that was a crazy fight.
Yeah,
but,
if you want to read the novel version of it, I will pick that up.
Yes,
I would like to read the comic version.
Yes, and that's what this whole thing was. It was all, 5 years later, and he's telling this story. So we're getting glimpses of the things that happen. Sometimes it does go into that time period, and we actually get a linear little story, and that is when it gets good again. But every time it goes away from that, I get very angry, and I'm like, why are you? And then he is very verbose in this. Like, there are scenes where he's just fucking doing poetry, and I'm like, why am I reading this? Tell me what the fuck's happening back on Earth.
It's completely drawn out compared to the last two.
It makes no sense at all to me. That's why I was like, maybe I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe his editor was like, hey, I know you had 30 issues in mind, but guess what? We're giving you 16. That means you have 6 left. Wrap that shit up. Wrap it up, which means every issue because every issue of this seems like, especially the way he's telling it in this storyline, it could have been 6 issues pulled apart.
Yep.
Like if you just fleshed out what he's talking about, it could have been 6 issues. So that's why I'm like, oh, he could have had 6 issues for 6 issues. That's 36 issues right there. He could have had full storyline and then a full epic, 50-page or 50-issue story arc would have been amazing for this. And you have one big omnibus and everything. It would have been crazy. But yeah, it feels like maybe he was rushed, and I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, so we do get the times when it cuts back to like Kid Miracle Man in the hospital, and now it's Johnny. I should say it's Johnny because Johnny is freaking out. He started talking again at the end of the last issue.
Yeah, he's being comforted by the only person that kind of like is kind and believes him a little bit is like the main nurse.
The nurse, because they're always like, so tell us what happened again, crazy Johnny. And he's like, I told you I was the big powerful man who killed people. And they're like, sure you were, Johnny. And yeah, it's just like no one believes him. And then now that he's talking, he's kind of in like with the other kids and stuff, which is what he wanted. He said like, I want to be with the other kids in the last issue, but then we find out the other kids are like rapists and shit.
And it's weird for being in like this kind of asylum place, which I just assume like they all have a little mental issue that they're going through. They are all bullies to him. So
you mean the crazy kids are crazy?
I just mean I was just surprised that like we're crazy, but you're real crazy.
That's not how it works, John. Yeah, they pick on the weak one.
I guess.
Think about it. Like if we're all in a home for boys who've been abandoned, it's like, your mom hated you more than my mom hated me.
That's true. I guess that always happens.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. You're going to pick on the weakest weak guy. But what they don't know is that in his mind is still Kid Miracle Man trying to convince him to say that word.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, I can
let me out.
If you just let me out, I'll take care of these fucking people.
Hey, I can't say it, but you can say it. Say it 3 times. I'll come on out.
Yeah, exactly. He is Beetlejuice. So or Candyman, whatever. And basically, we get that whole like back and forth with Johnny's able to put up with a lot. He's able to put off these bullies and stuff. Then we get we were also introduced at the very end of the last issue that there are these extra dimensional beings, these aliens that are like we finally found them. Basically, they're the beings that crash landed, or they're the type of beings that crash landed, and they're like, hey, there's 6 bodies in here that are unaccounted for that are like our technology. So they've been trying to track him down. They said Johnny's good. They're like, oh, the Bates kid, he's crazy. He's not. He's not.
He's not a
anymore.
risk.
But they didn't know that he could talk now and all that stuff. And then they set up a trap for Michael to like, he says, oh, Miracle Man or whatever, or he says Komoda, which is his word. He turns into Miracle Man when they confront him, but they're also like, they have their own word. They say their word and they turn into like crazy aliens. He tries to punch them. Then they turn into another suit as they're like, oh, we need better bodies. So it turns out like Miracle Man is like the lame version of these ones because these aliens actually have suits for multiple occasions. So they're like, hey, we have like light body armor, heavy body armor. Like the next one they turn into, like the first one they turn into is just like aliens with weird tentacles and shit. They hit him. They're stronger than him. But then like he punches through into one of them, like actually punches into the body, and the guy's like says another word and turned into like battle tank tortoise.
Yeah.
And it's like what? And then they have like fucking I don't know cylinders that push like hydraulically push and punch really hard. They're made of steel. And they like for arms, and they like punch his face repeatedly until he stops moving. Basically, it's like,
go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And just they're able to make him pass out. And then in the meantime, there was another super being that was hiding out on the planet we found last time, named Lear, Dr. Lear, who when she says her magic word, she turns into Miracle Woman. And she was trying to find MiracleMan, obviously now that she knows he's around. And she goes to his house and is like comes in the door and confronts the mom or, his wife, Liz.
Yeah, she's going to confront, but then right before she does, something else happens.
Yeah. So, like we said, Michael's been passed out or whatever, or taken out, or as MiracleMan, I guess. And then, but they're like, hey, they read his mind and they're like, he says like, oh no, the only thing I could think about was my child. And they're like, he has a child. And like, oh no, they heard my thoughts. Like, don't hurt my baby. And so, they actually show up at his house, like right when Miracle Woman was going to reveal herself. And, they try to get the baby basically. And, they attack the wife, and they have like these creepy or like, I don't know, reptile suits on now or bodies on now. And, then Miracle Woman comes out and she's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, she like rips one of their throats open.
Yeah, because it's gonna say a word, and she's like, nope. And she just like sticks her hands into his larynx and his throat, and he's like, like I can't talk, or whatever. And so it's stuck there bleeding out. And then this is weird, like they like MiracleMan comes and he's like, oh my god, and then she shows up when I guess they truced or something. I don't know what the other alien shows up at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're just like, it's fine. We're cool. Like, yeah. Hey, we weren't cool a second ago when you're trying to steal my
He's like, I know,
baby.
but I'm sorry, but he's going to die if I don't do this. Just shh, I need concentration.
Yeah. So basically they like truce for some weird reason.
Yeah.
I would not do that if these fucking aliens attacked me.
I would go and break his throat.
Yes. I would break all their throats and they could fucking die or whatever. Go away. But they didn't do that. They actually truced with them, and they like talk with them, and they're like, hey, you have our technology. We need to go. You need to come with us because we got to go to like a trial thing or whatever. And they're like, trial? He's like, yeah, don't worry. It won't be a big thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And I thought this was going to go like to some like big cosmic trial where they're going to like put Earth on blast or something, or put MiracleMan on blast or what. I don't know. But that's not where it goes at all. So he leaves Liz. And I should say, in the meantime, in the middle of this whole thing, they just cut to MiracleMan flying around Olympia in the nowadays in 1987, talking about, oh yeah, just it shows like a dude like jerking off to his fucking screen, and I don't know.
He's just talking about like all the things in that are happening in the world that he has a problem with, I guess.
But it's all the stuff that's already fixed according to him now. So
yeah, like I guess like people used to do this, but they don't need to anymore.
Because I'm so awesome. And then you see there's like MiracleMan porn and shit. Like that's why I'm like, are they porn producers now too? Like there's literally a dude jerking off to Miss Miracle or Miracle Woman. I'm sorry, and they and then the videos have like their logo and shit on it. I'm like, do they make this for the humans or? Like, what is this? I don't understand. Yeah. Like, is this just like, this ain't Miracle Woman or whatever? or
that one says a guide to something.
Yes. I don't know. But there's a dude obviously jerking off to his TV in the screen. So, I don't know what's going on with this thing. But
tantric sex.
Yes. They're teaching them the ways of how you're supposed to have sex, John.
I guess.
Because we find out a little bit later, but, there's a reason this is called Olympus. And it ain't because MiracleMan goes away and doesn't bother humanity anymore. So, this is all like, yes, like we said, they go away. Like he leaves Liz. He's like, Liz, I know I just got back here, but I gotta go. I know I just got back. I know the baby's been really hard on you, but I have to head out. I'm gonna go with these aliens
Yeah.
that we just fought and they were gonna kill
And they were
you,
gonna
but
kill
now we're
you.
friends.
But I got to go with them. She's like, what? And then he
Yeah.
just goes.
He's like, you better not. I'm like, oh, he's in the doghouse. And then but he goes away. Then we cut to the origin of Miracle Woman, which I thought was a great origin. This was like a really interesting thing. Basically, is one of the most fucked up stories out of all the miracle people, which makes sense. I mean, I guess if you're, Dr. Gargunza, you're evil or whatever, and you want a baby, well, the first thing you would do would maybe create a woman super thing and then rape that woman as she's asleep and hope she gets pregnant or whatever, but she never does. So that's what he did. And then he was like, well, maybe I can create miracle people and they will fuck her and then they'll get pregnant and then I'll take the baby. None of that happened. So basically that was his whole thing though. He was like, literally like, I'm Buck and I'm here to fuck. And
It was, I mean, and she, because she even says like, it's cool because I was in my pocket dimension. He just, he got to use my body, but I was outside of it. So it's fine.
It was fine. He literally says, he gave me freedom in a perfect world, receiving in return my crotch. I laughed and laughed. That's
all right.
That is how she views that thing, which was like, what the fuck? Also, this is intercut. This dialogue and everything, this exposition is cut over the pictures of him raping her, and then also him
creating other beings,
other men, working on the bodies themselves and everything. Yeah, it's like
he created some that became villains, basically. The Young Nasty Man, we mentioned, I think, him in the first one, and very briefly,
which I didn't even remember. But yeah, Young Nasty Man is the name of
the Tenacious D villain.
Yeah, yes, he sounds like a wrestler from the 90s. Young Nasty Man
coming down to the ring.
Yeah, you just hear, oh man, yeah, it just Dr. Feelgood playing in the background. There you go. Just perfect. So, but yeah, he makes a villain called Young Nasty Man. He makes Miracle Woman. And then it even says, like, even in her super mind, like, it was okay until he started
messing with their dreams too.
Yeah.
Like
so
with the miracle kid, the other miracle people.
Yeah. So when he did that, if you remember the last episode in book 2, they talked about how he was able to convince the human mind and the super mind to like combine or whatever, like how he tricked them into being okay with everything. Was he put these like comic book scenarios in their heads, and that was like, we're just having fun in this comic book world. That was a crazy dream, Miracle Man. Or what is it? Yeah, kid, Miracle Man. And so basically he does the same thing with her, but with her he puts on like kind of like Wonder Woman. I don't know if you know the origin of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the old Wonder Woman comics.
Yeah, the original Wonder Woman comics were like, that dude had a weird fetish, and every time she would get into something, she'd always be tied up.
That golden lasso.
Yeah, she was tying people up always. Truth lassos, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
She's wearing cuffs, bracelets or like, but they're supposed to be like cuffs that tie her down or whatever. So there was definitely some of that he's feeding from in this, and Dr. Gargunza did the same thing to her. So like she's always tied up. She's being prodded and probed by like him because he's actually a villain in his made up world too. We found out last episode, and so yeah, basically he makes Young Nasty Man, releases him on the world, and then Miracle Woman fights him and then defeats him, I guess. So
yeah,
that's pretty much the end of her storyline. And it said like she knew who she was. She went into hiding or whatever, but then she she pretended to be the doctor. But then she would always go back to at night she would go flying and then be Miracle Woman. So she never really like lost her powers or was away for 30 years.
Yeah, that 30 years to her, she used it like back and forth. So.
Yeah, like how you're supposed to, I guess. So, and then we also found out that young Miracle Man was gay for Miracle Man, I guess, or he had feelings, and that's why I guess originally he had wanted young Miracle Man to be the mate of Miracle Woman, but young Miracle Man ended up being gay for Mr. Miracle for Miracle Man, and so that didn't work out or whatever like he wanted. So basically that's what it was. She escaped before the last bomb thing happened. where MiracleMan went into hiding or was bombed into forgetting who the fuck he was for 30 years. So that's where the book starts. The whole series starts at this bomb. So they're just retconning her in there basically. So there's a real quick recap of what happened to her, why she wasn't in any of the other stuff. And okay, now we're good. Okay, we're leaving.
All right, we're good.
Now that you know who she is, now we're really leaving you with the baby. Don't worry about it. We're going with these two aliens, and so they leave. Then we cut to Johnny Bates, who's Kid MiracleMan, who is in the home for boys, and he looks like he's getting beat up by 40-year-old people, but they're actually children. They dress them. Sometimes they look like little kids, and sometimes they look like a fucking iron worker or something. So yeah, but
a little rough around the edges.
He's getting beat up, and you see Kid MiracleMan in his head being like, all you gotta do is say my name,
just do it,
and they won't be laughing, will they? And he's getting the shit beat out of him, but he's like, I won't let you out. And this is the thing, he says, even if they kill me, even if they beat me, I won't let you out. So I was like, good on you, Johnny. You're being super strong.
He's so strong-willed.
Yeah. And then, again, we cut back to Olympus in 1987. And all of this stuff, he's just narrating it. So we're seeing snippets, and there's some dialogue, but for the most part, this is all just exposition in boxes that we're reading. So once again, why the fuck are we reading this like that? It's very annoying. But we get like, oh, he's in his Olympus again, and we see he's got like his own little Candor city that he made, and it's more unlike Candor. It's more like Lisa's, and from The Simpsons, Lisa's
her tooth kingdom,
that she grows on accident as a science experiment. I don't know. Is that
the Treehouse of Horror?
Okay, is that a Treehouse of Horror? Yeah, it's got to be. So yeah, it's a Treehouse of Horror episode from like season 6 or 5 or 7 or something.
It's earlier,
but like basically. He has made these people, and they have grown a civilization in a bottle, and he's just like, look at that. Hello. And he's like tapping on it and shit. He says he like draws swirls, and then it like shows up in the sky, and he's trying to get them to like see him as a god or whatever. Like he will write like, I'm watching you. And then like, they're like, did you see that in the clouds? He's like, no, that was just wind. Shit like that. So it's kind of like if they were like, it is God. And you're like, bro, that's a cloud. That's a cloud. It's like, no, look, it's God's face in the clouds. It's Jesus on toast. Or, like that's what he's doing, basically. He's doing things like that to fuck with them. Or not to fuck with them, but to just, Yeah. And this is about, I told John, right after that was where I had to take a break, and I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, because I was just sick of reading boxes of exposition and of him just in this perfect little Olympus world where he's living now as a god. And them not getting to the point. But basically, we cut back to them now going to the alien world with the aliens to go on trial, we guess. And then there's this whole section that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Matt about this. I was like, this to me, as much as I like them, because I am one of those Star Wars fans, this to me felt like all of the Senate scenes, though, in like the first episode of Star Wars, episode 1. Because they go here, and then like withstand. They have like all these people come up on like these little like floating hover like pad things around this in like this gigantic room, and then there is like a main person in the middle.
Literally, what's the C-SPAN? It's literally C-SPAN, but
alien C-SPAN
entertainment in quotation marks. A movie. You go to see a movie about Star Wars, and you're watching C-SPAN about space, about fake space. So and that's what it was.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay. What exactly is going on?
But the Viceroy can't, put a tariff on Andor.
I object. Hold on. We haven't acknowledged you. Sit back down. It's like, okay.
All right.
The only thing we'll give Alan Moore credit for here, though.
Yes. So I believe he came up with the first. He's very progressive. Obviously, we know Alan Moore, and he. I guess through it, he's the first person to ever make up his own pronouns. So,
yeah, at least that we've noticed,
or their own or the pronouns of these beings. So, they go to this place, or this place in space. They meet these people called what are they called? The Quirn. Kyr?
Kyr?
Q-Y-R. Kyr.
Kyr?
Kyr? Kyr?
I would say cure, but that's
We'll call them Kyr.
okay.
The Kyr. So the Kyr are this race of people, but they're like a galactic. It's like if you say a North America or something. Like they are, or Earth. Like Earth is all humans, but they are one type of people, and then there's another type of people, and they say that they have a cold war with these people. So they're supposed to be like perfect beings, but they also have war and shit.
Yeah,
so I don't get it. Even though it's a cold war, it's still like, but what are you arguing about then? If you're all like perfect beings and shit, but whatever. So there's the head of this, or the king queen, they call it.
The king queen.
I'm sorry, they call her HIR. The king queen is like this mass that has no shape. It's a blob. It's a telepathic, and it talks to them, and it's like, well, hello, I am the king queen, and welcome to my world. And apparently this is the most perfect being there is. Doesn't it look amazingly beautiful? And MiracleMan's like, it looks like something.
Yeah, he's definitely like I don't know. Like MiracleMan's like, hey, it's we're here. We're supposed to be kind.
Yeah, when in Rome, or
yeah.
whatever, you gotta say stuff or whatever. So they're like pretending or whatever, and then they're talking about like, oh yeah, we got to do dances in front of it, and then it turns out this isn't a trial at all. This is literally like them like just getting introduced. Because basically, now that Earth has a sentient being, meaning the baby, because they don't count humans as sentient. Apparently, they counted the baby. The baby was the like, holy shit, there's a human hybrid, and the hybrid part is what we cared about.
Yeah.
So now that there's a human one of those, that means that Earth is now in this federation. You're officially smart. Or whatever, smart enough to be in our federation.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, I like what you got. So, they're just included, whether they like it or not now, and part of that is they're gonna dance in front of this fucking thing, and then it was just like basically now it's kind of like we'll say like the Civil War before that happened. It was like if there's a state on the north side, there has to be a state created for the south side to make sure that everything stayed even. And that Mason-Dixon line or whatever, so it was kind of like that, where these guys, the Kyr or the Kerr or whatever, are they, they're at war with these other people, a Cold War, but to, they're like, we can't say that we're part of Earth or like we represent Earth because we're like tied to you because you have our technology. So you're like, you would be prone to corruption with us or whatever. So to appease them, we're just going to like, leave it alone basically, and but like they're still under rule. Like basically we'll both check in, like we'll both have dominion over it, and like we'll help each other out on it. It'll kind of be like we come together on this planet, and
we'll be checking in from time to time.
Yeah, from time to time, and so they have a base on the moon set up and all this shit for them. And then at the end of that, I guess he comes back to Liz, and Liz is like, we don't know how long this has been, by the way. I mean, it could have been minutes or
hours or days,
days, months. We don't know. She's just there. She's not in the same clothes she was before, so she's in like a jacket. She looks skinnier. She looks different a little bit too. Yeah. And she's like crying. He just shows up. Hey, babe.
Yeah. Hey, I got to tell you about this cool alien stuff I saw.
So guess where I was? Like he's like, these people, and they're called the Warsmiths and the Kyrs, and they, and it's like, hey guys, like, you son of a bitch, basically, like she's just super pissed at him.
Yeah, she's like, can we not talk about the alien stuff right now?
He's like, what's up, love? What's up, you fucking asshole?
You left me with the baby again,
and
the baby is always hungry, and I'm always in pain.
Not even always hungry. The baby is always talking to me, but like controlling my emotions. So like, I don't even know if it's me anymore. The baby's just like, feel better, mama. And I'm like, okay. Like, cause like the baby can control her fucking thoughts and mind and everything.
And MiracleMan's like, no, that can't be true.
And then he hears the baby talk and he's like, oh my God, how long has it been?
Yeah. She's like, okay, I'm going to go for a little bit. And he's like, okay, you go, because you're obviously stressed. And then she leaves and the baby starts talking.
Yes.
Hey, Dad.
It says, Father, I think it's time we discuss mother, don't you? It's like, Jesus Christ. And so it was like the first time he heard her voice or whatever. But then she says like, no, I could have talked the whole time. Like I said, Mama, when I was first born, you guys freaked out, so I just stopped talking. But I could have
myself.
Yeah, but
I heard everything you said.
I heard everything. Everything you said.
Heard everything you said.
And so then we get. He's a maniac
on the floor.
So I don't know what this was. And I was telling John, I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in a comic. But the only thing we can think is this is the dance that he did for the King Queen?
The King Queen and the other beings, I guess.
So he does a dance. Yeah, because they show like the other beings' faces watching him do a dance, but they don't show the King Queen looking at him. It's not in the same room or anything. It's just him dancing, sparkling in the black, and he is
interpretive dancing.
He is flash dancing the shit out of this thing. So, he is white boy dancing. So, yeah. Basically, they're showing that in the background. That's like the background of this whole scene. But basically, it's him and the baby. They're talking. This dancing is going on. So this is like the past, but also him talking to the baby. Yeah. So we're just like, I guess that's the dance he did. And
I did like this scene with the baby because the baby's like, oh, hey, this crib's a piece of shit. Yeah. You guys should have done better. But here, let me just. Oh God, I forgot these baby legs. I can't really walk on them yet. I'll just fly. Yeah. And it's like, oh God, you can fly already too.
Like his diaper, takes his diaper off. Yeah. It's like much better.
And Winter's like, nah, first off, I chose my own name. I told him I can put that in Mom's head.
Yeah.
And I already have all the same knowledge you guys have because I have both of your guys' like minds collectively, all of that information in mine. And I think I'm better than this world right now. I think I need to go out and explore and, gather all knowledge of the universe.
Yeah. So, if you're cool with it, actually, even if you're not, peace out.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and take off. Is that cool?
And all right. He's like, I guess.
So,
and
what?
The baby flies away into space or something.
Yep. Naked baby. Just
naked baby fly. And so then we cut to while this dancing is going. The dancing is still going on.
Still going on.
Every
behind
panel,
all of this, dancing is going on.
There is a dancing panel underneath every one of these panels. So we get I guess as part of this truce on Earth, they're like, we will show the war. What are their names? The war people. We will show them Earth because we already showed some of the other people Earth or whatever. So we already showed the Kiers or whatever Earth. So we'll show the war people Earth, and the war people look like Asians. I don't know.
They
have
kind of
like Asian armor.
Yeah, they kind of look like they're like part Japanese armor, part like futuristic
Blade
robe
Runner,
stuff, but and part Blade Runner, and then like part Guardians of the Galaxy or something. I don't know. It's they're all over the place with their getup.
Yeah, but yeah, so they're showing them Earth and everything, and they're like, "This is Earth," and here we go. And then they're like, "Oh, we should show you, like we scan the Earth, and there's some more special people we'll let you know about." So they talk about the guy that was Big Ben. They're like, "But he's got your technology, but he's only ever in one body. He doesn't have another special body. So like he's kind of crazy. We'll just fix him later or whatever." But there's another guy named what's his name? Fireside or something? Firebrand?
Firebrand?
Yeah, I think it's Firebrand. And he's like this black guy that can apparently just fucking Fire Drake. Is that what it is? The Fire Drake.
Yeah, Fire Drake, pardon me.
Okay. Yeah, the Fire Drake. He is just like this black guy that can control all fire, all magma, all that kind of stuff. Nothing burns him. So they like kind of come to him, awaken him, tell him who he is. So he's like a superpowered person on this Earth now. Then we cut back to Liz, who's sitting at home crying again, and she turns out she's talking to. Is it MiracleMan or just? It looks like maybe it's Mike.
I think it's Mike.
I don't know. It's got I guess it's Mike because he's got his jacket on. And he doesn't have like the red gloves. But
I think that other one was her. My interpretation of it was the last one was her leaving MiracleMan for a bit, and then she came back and also was like,
"Okay, I got you.
Hey, I forgot some stuff. oh, let me talk to Mike, and then
okay.
then she talked to Mike here.
That makes sense. So they don't show any of that though. This is just us inferring it because God forbid they would show that in the comic. So so Liz is basically like, I can't do this. I'm not a god and you are and our baby is, so I feel like shit. And
I'm gonna stay with my mom for a while.
Yeah, I'm gonna go away for a bit. And then like, you know, Mike just doesn't say anything the whole time basically. And then we see the baby came back. Oh no, this is where the baby.
Yeah, this is where the baby.
I'm sorry, this is where they actually cut to the baby saying, "I'm going to leave now" or whatever. So, the baby, yeah, like we said, goes into space. So she leaves, he leaves. I guess while he's Mike, he's like, "Hey."
I think this is after that because like now everybody's left, both MiracleMan and Mike, and so he's like, "Well, if that's the case, I'm just going to go, like, take care of."
There's
Mike.
no reason for Mike anymore.
Basically.
So he's like, "Hey, Mike. Why don't we go on like a spirit journey or whatever, like a spirit quest? Why don't you go camping in the middle of the woods by yourself?" And so he does that. He goes into the middle of nowhere, climbs up on a rock, gets naked, buries his clothes, and like has a little note that says like, you know, here lies Michael Joseph Morin. You know, rest in peace. He makes a little rock monument there,
but with a piece of paper. That's gonna stay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously that's gonna stay there forever. Piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then he cries a little bit. Then he says Komodo.
Yep.
And then turns into MiracleMan again
for the last time.
So now from now on, Mike is dead. There is no Mike.
Yep. Basically, I mean, Mike's in the pocket universe.
Technically, Mike is in the pocket universe, but he's never letting him out again.
Yeah.
According to this, and Mike knows that because why Mike is so weak and boring. You know.
Yeah.
So human. So,
yeah, for MiracleMan.
Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of like how the end of Mike, and then once again we're still dancing. There's still dancing scenes underneath all of that sad thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is this dancing? I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm not an artist or something. I don't know, or that kind of artist, a dance artist. I don't know, but I don't get it. Anyway,
finally, this is where we're like, okay,
yes,
now stuff's about to happen.
This is going to take off. Finally, Alan Moore tricked us. He's, you know, doing his artsy thing. Now we're going to get what we came here for. Fucking, we cut to Johnny Bates on the floor in pain. He's getting beat up by bullies again. Then one of them, for some reason, is like, I'm going to rape him. And they're like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to rape him. Hold him down. They're like, oh, okay. And so they go along with this guy who's going to rape him. And as he's being raped, he's like, Johnny's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, MiracleMan, because he can't, he'll die, he says, and he'll get beat up. No one ever said anything about getting raped. So
yep,
yeah, so he can't handle getting raped. He says MiracleMan, which turns him into Kid MiracleMan. So, as you would imagine, there's a giant explosion in the bathroom. The boy who was raping him, you just see his leg.
Yeah, you see his.
So we assume his body exploded as he was raping.
Yep.
Johnny, and then the other kid that was holding him down is now blind. And then we see him being like, Steve, is that you? And then we just see his head fly across the room into the wall. And then there's the other kid.
The lookout.
The lookout is just starts praying like, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." And then he's like, "Deliver us all from evil." And you just see like Kid MiracleMan reaching out with his grin. He's laughing, and he's like, yeah, basically just murders that kid. And then the nurse comes in, the one nurse who was
the only one that was nice to him.
And she hears all this yelling and screaming. She's like, "Oh my God!" And then Kid MiracleMan gets her, and he's like, "Do you know you were the only one who was kind to me? The only one." And he's like, "I think I'll let you live." And she's like, "Oh my God, thank you. Thank you." And then as she's praying,
he leaves the room.
Yeah.
Then he turns back around.
Comes back in and she's praying. He's like, "I'm sorry. They'd say I was going soft if I didn't do this." And he like smashes her head. And that's like probably one of the more violent scenes in this, where you actually see her head explode and then what's left is just the top of her jaw.
Yeah.
So super graphic. But you know, this is where I was like, oh, it's kicking off. And then we cut back to the dancing. And then the dancing is over. Like he finally finished this was the climax of his dance was that scene with Johnny, and
to which he ends by weeping.
Yes, like every superhero we love, he was so spent from all that.
The dance was just so intense.
So while he was dancing in space, we find out, we cut down to England where he goes. He comes back to Earth after that dance. He comes back to England.
And it is wrecked.
It's wrecked. Johnny has had a lot of fun in the last whatever it was. I don't know, days, hours, weeks, whatever the fuck it was. He has tore the fuck out of this place, out of London, England, or just England in general, all of it. They just show London from what I can tell, though. Like, see Big Ben. Big Ben has its minute and arm hands skewered with bodies, like a shish kebab.
Yeah.
They're like pointing out, and then like the bodies are like skewered on it. You see people that their skins are hanging on dry clothes or dry, what are those called? Drying
clotheslines.
Yeah, clotheslines. There you go. So like he skinned people and just is drying their skins for some reason. He's just tore everything apart. He's ruined all of England. You see just like people running, and there's just like a tornado of body parts, like hands and feet that have been ripped off people, and they're just tornadoing around because he's just flying so fast around everybody and killing everybody and stuff. And MiracleMan's like, oh my God, what happened to England? Maybe if you weren't fucking dancing and crying about it, you could have stopped this from happening. But anyway, so then we get what I thought was going to be, okay, finally.
Here we go.
We're not dancing anymore. The big fight's going to
Time for fighting.
Time for fighting.
Yeah, this is what we've been building to. To put this in perspective, Kid MiracleMan,
is the bad guy.
He's introduced and he becomes bad. In that first book, he realized that he's gone mad because he has all this power without MiracleMan and he wants to keep it. So yeah, and then he goes into hiding and like has like fights with himself in the second
and
one.
And that second book, we got Dr. Gargunza to replace him, which was a great fucking story arc. And now we have dancing.
He's coming back to finish, but we're like, okay, he's coming back to finish it now that he's out.
Yes. So this is where we're like, oh, this must be the rest of the 6 issues. This is issue 4 now or whatever.
Yeah, so we are like, it's going to take a couple
like 3
to
more
fight.
issues. Yeah. This issue plus 5 and 6. So,
yeah.
So he is confronted, MiracleMan, MiracleWoman, and the 2 warriors that they were showing Earth appear. And they're like, hey, you got to stop what you're doing. So he starts attacking them. And I don't know, like he attacks MiracleWoman first, takes her out. Then MiracleMan starts to try to take her, and that works.
And we should say, while this is happening, it goes from like, yes, we're seeing some of this, but it's going from
it's talking.
It's going from instead of like dialogue between the characters, back to
him describing, and then we're seeing panels of what's going on. So it's like a storyboard or something, or like a storybook.
And I was like, no, go back to the.
Please,
I want to see the
full
fight.
Fucking fight.
I can't see half the fight with these words on the page.
Yeah, and there's a lot too. Yeah, if you're gonna have a fight like this, put like, and then I punched him, and he fought valiantly, and then show a bunch of fucking action or something of us fighting valiantly or whatever, and So anyway, like we said, it's the 2 aliens, MiracleMan, MiracleWoman, and apparently also Fire. What is his name?
Fire Drake.
Fire Drake. So the fire guy is there too. So they're like, hey, he's more powerful than we thought. If he can take out MiracleWoman by himself, we need to like come at him as a team. And so the one alien, like the main like head guy or whatever, I will say the man. He looks like the man. There's a female looking one too. I won't say the man. The male one is like, hey, let Fire Drake distract him. I gotta go do something. He leaves for like 1 second because he's like a time lord, basically. Like it seems like he's like, I gotta go learn some crazy power, and he's like, extra power. And by the time he says, what extra power, the guy's back. He's like, wow, that was crazy, long trip, but it was only like a couple seconds. So,
but speaking of, since it was only a blip, let me tell you about everything that just happened.
Yes. So basically,
he's as he's about to tell him all of that. That's when the
Fire Drake is distracting.
I'll distract him.
And basically, it's just like, I mean, this was like the least. I was like, oh, what's Fire Drake gonna do? He can only do stuff on fire. So he gets lit on fire by Kid MiracleMan's eye beams, and he's like, hey, I don't burn. Nothing bad happens to me. I was like, yeah, but energy beams hurt you, right? Like I get fire doesn't, but do do photons going at light speed going through you?
I guess because it's it's
hot?
an intense heat.
Okay.
It still doesn't count.
Well, anyway, he can handle that.
But also, it was stupid of him to tell him that like that's his only.
Yeah.
Like well, you can't burn me, so.
Right. So, but he ends up getting a good shot because what's his name?
Fire Drake.
Fire Drake ends up being able to control that fire and set off the gas line that was underneath Kid MiracleMan. And so that blows him up for a second, and then we get this weird fucking scene that I don't understand fully, and John didn't understand fully, but I'm assuming we put our minds together and we think we understand now what happened.
This is what, together, our minds combined are like the combined minds of MiracleMan and the telepath, or the guy who can like blip
His name
through time.
is Chorn, Ozza Chorn.
Ozza Chorn, that's right.
So Ozza Chorn is the man alien that's here. So the man alien left, learned some shit, came back, and now they're mind melding.
Yes.
And he's telling him, he's like, I was just telling MiracleMan
thousands of years ago.
Thousands of years ago, there's been stories like this. And he's like, he's just going through the Bible, Beowulf, Tales of Gilgamesh, the Iliad, every hero myth he's telling him every one of those.
And how those people were defeated.
Yes, including aliens, including, Indian mythology, every mythology.
Yeah.
He's telling him everything. God, Lucifer, all that shit.
Oh, that's right, because they have Shiva on there.
Yeah, everybody. They're telling him everybody. And so even alien ones and stuff, they're telling him all that stuff. And that's how he's like, oh, I can defeat him like this, I guess. I don't know why he's telling him this in the middle of a battle. I can only assume they were like the transference would help them come up with a plan.
Maybe.
I don't know, because what ends up happening is...
Yeah, because it also didn't seem like any of it mattered.
No, in the end of this, they get caught, transferring by Kid MiracleMan, and he ends up, capturing them, punching MiracleMan, hitting Ozza Chorn with his eye beams, and almost blows off his arm. And then Ozza Chorn's like, oh, you know what? Scratch that other shit I was doing. Here's a big blast. Boom. That'll, silence the guy for a hot second, confuse him, and we can get out of here. So... in that, they do that, and it actually does distract him for a second. Then MiracleMan's like, fuck that, I'm just gonna fight. Maybe now he has the skills now to fight. I don't know if that's what.
Yeah.
We don't know what what that whole scene was. I don't know why he did it or what, but I think it was like, here's all the knowledge of past battles or something.
Yeah.
Good versus evil.
Strategery.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I only said that because of the other characters.
Fool me once, shame on me.
Yeah, shame on me.
Fool me twice,
shame on me.
Shame on me.
Shame
again.
on you.
Whatever. What the fuck is it?
Anyway,
Yeah.
so MiracleMan and Kid MiracleMan start fighting a little bit, and it's not really
back and
going
forth.
anywhere.
Yeah, it just seems like, okay, MiracleMan is losing, obviously, but he's doing his best. Because if you remember from the first book, he was not as strong as Kid MiracleMan, because Kid MiracleMan has been around for 30 years as Kid MiracleMan, honing his powers, killing people, doing fucked up shit. So he's doing a good job beating MiracleMan. And MiracleMan's like, come on, Johnny, you gotta turn back. You can do it. And he's like, fuck you, basically. And
I've never turned it back to that little kid.
Yes. And then he says burn in hell, and he throws all the shit in him. And then Ozza Chorn is like, wait, why are we doing this? I can just what would it be called? Teleport?
Yeah.
Teleport a rock into Kid MiracleMan's brain. So he does that. I'm like, why don't you fucking do that in the beginning?
It's like a rock with rebarb or something in it.
Yeah, rebarb.
Sorry.
It's a rock with rebarb pie.
Rhubarb pie.
So yeah, it's like a piece of, it looks like it has nails and shit. It's just like construction debris from a collapsed building. And he's like, wait, when a pebble might suffice, what if I were to place it inside? And he does it. He goes whoa, whoa, whoa. And he puts that inside of Kid Miracle's brain. And this rock is the size of my hand.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty big fucking rock. It takes out one of his eyes, his side of his head. The rebar is coming out of the other side of his face, and it looks like it hurts a lot. And I guess in that second when he feels it, I mean it's in his brain, so he's got brain damage too. But he's like, he's struck mortally, it says, and then Kid MiracleMan is like, ah! And like does his eye beam, and the eye beam cuts Ozachorn, like not in half, but cuts off one of his arms. And then as Ozachorn's last thing before he dies, because he was struck mortally, he does one more teleportation.
He takes a big steel beam.
Takes his big old eye beam that's been like a girder that's been bent and everything because the building collapsed, and just teleports that into his chest, into Kid MiracleMan's chest. And it says, and he's just like, ah, shit. And he's like, even for him, the pain must have been quite beyond imagining. We do all feel pain, things, even things such as we, and when pain comes, we have no place to hide from it except one. And that one place is the dimension. So if he says the words again, he will go back into the dimension with the girder and all the, but it'll just be there like in stasis. So no pain, he'll just be there. So he's able to say, MiracleMan. And when he says that, he turns back into Johnny. And Johnny's like, oh my God, I did it again. And this was a scene, John caught it. I did not. And I feel stupid now that I'm looking at it because it's very obvious. But this is probably one of the more fucked up scenes in it. This is, if you've seen if you read Mice and Men or seen the movie of Mice and Men, Johnny, Johnny's like, oh my God, I did it again. The bad Johnny got out. And MiracleMan's like, no, Johnny, don't worry about it. It's all right. It's going to be okay. He's never going to come back. He won't come back. And then he's like, oh, thank you. Like, I've never been so happy. Thank you. And he's like, it's okay, Johnny. It's okay. You're a good kid, Johnny. You're a good.
And all of this while he's got like a hand on his shoulder, then it moves up to his head, then the other hand starts coming in, and you're like,
He's kind of like looking like he's petting him or something, and then he says, good kid, and then you just see blood spurt onto his face like he just smashed.
I guess he squished his head because they don't show that specific piece.
Yeah, he smashed Johnny's head good. And so.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's how Johnny dies. And then he's holding Johnny's body as he cries.
He's crying.
Because, he just killed a child.
Yeah.
And it was one of his friends from back in the day, And it's just a limp, dead, headless body of Johnny. And that's the end of that bad guy. So I was like, okay, the world's ending. And then also you get, like, this is what London looks like now. It is all on fire. It is all decimated. Everything is broken or burnt down. People are hanging. Bodies are hanging all over the place. There's a mother walking down the streets with no arms.
And it looks like her eyes are gouged out.
Yes, and 2 children who are holding on to her as well. So she's going to have fun for the rest of her life probably. Yeah, so that's where he left it. And MiracleMan's looking at all this. He's like, oh my God.
And there's still like, 2 issues left?
Yes, there's still 2 issues left.
Yeah, so wait a minute.
What's going to happen? So, yeah, he sees the decimation. He sees what's going on. It is crazy. Then we get, finally, what the fuck happened? Like, why are we 5 years ahead in 1987? Basically, like, the aliens and MiracleMan are like, we'll fix, what happened with Kid MiracleMan. But also, like, we're gonna
fix Earth.
We're gonna fix Earth.
We're gonna fix quote unquote Earth.
Yeah, and by fix I mean we're gonna become your gods, and you don't have anything to say about that.
Yeah, we're gonna create a utopia, and y'all are gonna love it. We promise.
And if you don't, too bad. And so
yeah, we'll find a way to get around that too.
Yes.
If you don't love it.
Yeah, exactly. And so so the best. This is like my favorite scene in this whole comic, besides like the last fight scene that just happened. Basically, he's like, we had a meeting with the government, and it's him and it's Maggie Thatcher, and it's like the aliens and everybody meeting with the 2 aliens, I should say. It's a new alien. It's not Ozza Chorn anymore because he died, but it's the woman that was with him, another guy, and then MiracleMan, Miracle Woman, and Fire Drake again. And so they're meeting with Maggie Thatcher, and she's like, MiracleMan says, after that, the world economy must be restructured, broken down into its more manageable units. And she's like, no. This is all quite preposterous. We can't ever allow this kind of interference with the market. And MiracleMan just looks at her and goes, allow? And she looks at him, and he's like, as I was saying, the destruction of the economy, like basically, I'm not allowing anything.
Yeah.
I'm
doing this.
There's nothing you can do because I am a god. If you didn't make that out yet, I am a god.
Do you see what happened out there? Yeah, we're not going to have that happen again.
So basically, he just tells all the world governments to fuck off, and we're doing whatever we're going to do, which is for your best. Like they meet with the UN as well, and they tell them, hey, we took all your nukes, everybody's nukes, and we just sent them to the sun. And they're like, ha, good one. And they're like, no, we really did that. And they're like, oh, what? And then like, yeah, they stole everybody's nukes and everybody's nuclear power too, and put them into the sun.
Yeah.
And then they also took everybody's all of land. Like they were like, everybody needs things, so we're just everything's free now. We're taking all money. No money's a thing anymore.
Yeah, they basically made all of the money like burn and disappear in the world.
Yeah. And so they're like, it's fake anyway, and everybody needs stuff. So guess what? From August, everything is free. National surplus will be teleported to those nations most in need until they master self-sufficiency. Each soul will have free clothing, food, shelter, entertainment, education, all requirements for a worthwhile life, with greater luxuries for those who wish to work providing the above. So come summer, money won't exist, I guess is what he's saying. So they do away with all money, which, of course, as we know, does away with all crime. And then they legalize all drugs.
Yep.
So
yeah.
No
by getting rid of this, and creating a perfect utopia, no money, all drugs are legal, so everybody can do what they want.
Yeah. They even said like, oh, we got rid of like Charles Manson and those kind of people. Like we were able to like, I don't know what they did. They just said they cured them. And now Charles Manson runs a care group for infants that have been abused. And yeah, he still finds it tough, or harder to relate to the black children, but he perceives this problem and he's working hard to counter it. So I'm like, did they like give him a lobotomy?
Yeah, how did that happen?
What did they do? I don't know what they did, but they did something. Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. They said like a lot of these kids that were criminals before just had like high adrenaline, so they were able to provide an organic substitute that gave them an adrenaline rush, so they didn't need to commit crimes anymore.
Yep.
I guess that's what it.
That's what it was. That's all it is.
Okay, and so basically, MiracleMan became Stalin, and then everybody was cool.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean,
this went from like heroes living among us to like Red Sun, Superman, totalitarian
government, whether you like
very
it
quickly.
Yeah, and it's weird because obviously we all know. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all know Alan Moore is a lefty, and a lot of the things that he's doing are things that he would approve of, or at least like humans to do on their own. I would assume. So it's interesting that he's having a superhero do it for us, because that's like an odd thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was different from like, putting information out and like letting people like,
and people decide it,
deciding it.
Yeah,
kind of like the end of Watchmen with the.
Yes, you have to force people sometimes, but Ozymandias is the bad guy in that.
Yeah,
and I think we haven't read Watchmen, but in Watchmen, we have, but the audience hasn't talked about, or we haven't talked about Watchmen with the audience. So, but in that book, there's an ending that's very much like this kind of thing, where it's like the smartest guy, who's the bad guy, does something that is supposed to be for the good of all mankind, and it is. It does cure war, but it does it under false pretenses, without. With the process of murdering a bunch of other people as well, innocent people.
Yeah.
And Rorschach, who is supposed to be the crazy one, is the guy who has morals, who stands up against that. So, in my mind, Rorschach is the actual hero because of that. But there are some people who think that Ozymandias was right. So, and that's what at first I was like, is Alan Moore saying that this is correct? And I don't think he does. I think, while there are things he would agree with, that Miracle Man does, there's definitely like a question in the back of the mind of Miracle Man himself.
Oh yeah, by the last page I think is what
gives it away fully. Yeah. But there's definitely like, okay, so we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to the end.
We'll just breeze through the rest of this.
But real quick, there's a scene that we need to talk about.
Oh, that's true.
Where they've done all this good for the world. They're like, look how awesome we are. So he. Like we said, Liz has gone to live with her mom. He ain't thinking about Liz anymore. So he is, doing good stuff for the world with Miracle Woman. And finally they fuck. Or they start making out, they kiss, they get naked in the sky above New London that's been rebuilt apparently.
Yep.
And they fuck. And they fuck hard. The sky has fucking northern lights. There's a fireworks show basically. And
there's a big explosion, I assume, when they both climax.
When they both went boom. They fall into the Thames to chill out, I guess.
Yeah, and cuddle.
And the funniest thing ever happens. Everybody that saw this starts clapping.
Yeah, they just start clapping. And it's like, you don't know if they're clapping because they were like really in awe.
Because our overlords just had sex in front of us. I think we're supposed to clap.
Everybody clap. Clap now.
Yeah, if you don't clap, then you're going to be murdered.
They're going to probably kill us.
Yeah. Because also they just saw one of these super powered beings murder all of London or whatever. So like, while these new ones seem better than that, like, I don't know. I'm kind of on Lex Luthor's side on this thing. It's like, hey, let's fuck up, all right? Like I don't need a space dad to tell me what to do. I'm an adult, all right? But maybe I'm, and it seems like, Alan Moore at first is maybe on their side, but then he's not. Because also, here's some other interesting things that they do.
They create a eugenics program.
They create a eugenics program because they're like, well, I mean, basically, it's unequal to have, gods and man. So if we just impregnate women with our seed,
we'll just colonize basically.
Yeah, basically, we're doing what Rome did. We're conquering an area. We don't have enough manpower to actually stay there, so we'll just put like a couple governors, and then we'll just kind of blend the cultures together by fucking and creating families and relationships there.
Yeah, then we're all the same.
We're all the same, and that's how you control areas. It's called colonization, people. So this is slyly put in here, but they do say the word eugenics, which I think is him being like, maybe, because I don't think he would use that word in its connotations unless he was suggesting that this might not be the best thing ever.
I think so.
Could be wrong, because he does put it in the light of this is the best thing ever. Like because this is from Miracle Man's point of view. So in Miracle Man's mind, this is the best thing ever for the most part. And also another thing they do is Fire Drake. They're like all the power that we took away, like that people need. Well, we needed like some power source, so basically, like Fire Drake just became the power source for everything. So he's like geothermal power. I'm like, so
you gotta stay up. You gotta stay in your little volcano layer
all day, all 24/7, just forever until he dies or whatever. Just this guy is your power source now. Like that's pretty crazy. So I can watch Netflix. That's weird. Did he want to do that, or like they don't really say? They don't really say.
I'm sure he's fine with it.
I guess. I don't know. Whatever. So either way, they don't say anything about it. He doesn't look like he has a choice, or he doesn't look like he's saying anything about it. They don't give him any lines. We're just told he does it. So he gives them geothermal energy for the whole world.
Yep. And then there's some other god creatures that come. There's one that's like, hey, I'm gonna like live in the underworld basically, and like we can bring people back to life if you want.
Yeah, and so they bring back Einstein and
Andy Warhol
and all these people that are great or whatever, and they basically just create this utopia on Earth. They even bring back the dog that killed Mr. Cream in book 2, the space dog or whatever. They call him Miracle Mutt. They bring him back to life, and I guess they pluck him out of the dimension.
Yeah,
and they reprogram his brain with a proper dog brain.
Yeah, so now he's a happy-go-lucky puppy.
He's a raptor dog.
Raptor dog.
And we see in that where they pluck him out, you can see.
Kid Miracle
Man is just floating in space right there next to Michael. So Michael's body's still there. I mean, just saying, he's floating. So, and then finally, kind of the end. This has been 5 years now, or whatever, or 4 years. Miracle Man's daughter comes back. Winter comes home, and she's like, "Oh my God, hi, Dad." And he's like, "Oh my God, it's been 4 years. This is wonderful." And then they talk about shit or whatever.
And she's like, "I learned everything of the universe now."
Yeah.
All that time, you're like, okay.
Yeah, and it's weird. They just talk about weird things, and like she helps them come up with like a birthing program that's nicer for the moms that are giving birth to these super babies. And
they become like wet nurses, and they're like, "Yes, we will have these birthing pods."
yes, it's weird.
It's very weird.
And yeah, so but then she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna leave now again." So she just goes away. We don't hear about her anymore. And so, and then finally he's like, "Okay, I gotta one last time. I gotta go talk to Liz. Like she's just hanging there now. You know what could have been, kind of thing." So he goes to talk to her, and he's like, "You could be me. Like now we can give you a super body, and you could be awesome." And she's like, "What, Miss Miracle? Like I don't want to fucking do that. I want to be myself, and I want fucking Mike back. You know." And he's like, "Well, that's not happening." And basically, she's just like, "Get the fuck out.
Don't ever contact me again."
Yeah, get out. You stole and this is the thing. You stole my baby, or like the baby that I had doesn't want me. You stole my husband. You know, I can't have him back anymore. The whole world is completely changed that I knew from before. So even if it's better in quotation marks, it's still not a world I'm familiar with or used to anymore because I'm 40 now in this new world or whatever. Yeah. And you know, what do you do? What do you do? You know, like you're just gonna sit there and you remember the daughter you were so happy with like a couple of years ago.
And Miracle Man just doesn't get it. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, why don't you just become a god like me? Like everything's gonna be fine.
What's the big deal? Just do it. And she's like, "No, get the fuck out of here." And he's like, "I haven't seen her since." Yeah. And so he leaves her to be alone, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, for her to be alone, and then he's like, "Well, I guess I'm gonna go back up with the other gods, and we're gonna party and be."
Yeah, we're gonna go live in Olympus for realsies. Like we're like I am fucking Zeus.
Tower, yeah. And they build like an Olympus, like an actual god
like
tower,
a giant's fucking place, like a pyramid that looks down
upon the people.
Yeah. And then he talks about the survivalists. Like, yeah, some people like Liz, they just don't like us. And he's like, there's some survivalists that live, you know, in the middle of nowhere by themselves. There's also the Christians and the Islamic people because they are like, those are not our God.
Yeah, look, we both have a God. It's the same God technically. And
it's the God of Abraham.
We know
it's not that one.
It's not that God right there.
So Muslims and Christians are like best buds now. And they're like, we do not believe in them. And so and then there's like separatists or whatever that are also very angry about this it says like they're not doing anything, like they're not bombing or anything at the moment, but he doesn't understand why don't you want
all these
this perfect world I've created for you? But they're just like little things, you know, nothing big. And then this is what John was talking about. He goes back to his palatial Hollywood estate or whatever. He opens the doors, he disrobes. He's got his, you know, miracle thong on or whatever, and he puts on his Nazi uniform, and
it's his like presidential like Superman red sun
Superman
uniform.
Yes,
it's very much like the other one was his costume, and this is like a uniform with like a little side cape, and
he's got a double-breasted jacket.
Yeah,
it's very kingly,
very formal, very kingly. Yes,
regal. We'll say that.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, I mean, and then it's just him and all these other, you know, rich people, or not rich people, I guess,
rich
but
godlike people,
gods, just, you know, chilling.
Yeah, they have a big partying, and then this is so like the party ends, and this is like basically like the last page is like him. He's like, I came out from the party, and I like to come to the garden and think, and it's like, why didn't Liz want to do that?
Yeah, and that's what he thinks about, and that's why I think. He does, while I'm sure Alan Moore thinks some of the things that Miracle Man did were good, he leaves the question for the reader, like...
Makes me wonder.
Yeah, Miracle Man obviously has something in his mind telling him maybe this is not right, because Liz didn't want to go with it, because there's other people in the world who don't want to go with it, and, you know, maybe a little bit of Mike is still there, saying like, hey, this ain't right. So, I enjoy that. I like how you could put politics in there, but you're also not just, you're saying like, maybe I'm wrong or maybe MiracleMan is wrong. We don't even know that's Alan Moore. It could just be him taking MiracleMan's side because MiracleMan is what would happen if a god was real? Like that's basically, like if Superman was real, he would do this. So that's maybe he's just advocating for that side because it makes the most sense story-wise.
Yeah.
But I really like that side of it, this like kind of side argument. And then, like I said, he uses words like eugenics and shit, which are not generally consideed positive words in context of, making new humans and stuff. So,
and one of the things like we were saying too is that, we don't know if he had to rush with this, and we don't know, if he was able to drag it out more, if any of this would have been fleshed out more or changed, or we would have seen those kind of
I feel like it would. Impacts. I feel like this whole ending, this whole last issue was just like, and this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and here's a picture of that, here's a picture of this, and I'm just like, I feel like this. There's no way this wasn't like none of his other comics are like this. I've never read an Alan Moore comic where he's just telling you what happened, and then like there's a picture of it on the page. Like everything is fully described. It might have language like flowy poetic language or something, but like not.
It's not prose on the page.
Yes, exactly. It's not him just telling you exposition. So that's why I feel like this had to be rushed, and he had to just get all this information out on the page as he had planned this whole epic saga, and he had to condense it into 6 issues kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was able to flesh some of those moments out, like the fight with Kid MiracleMan, because that was such a big one, or like Liz leaving and then him leaving Liz. Things like that.
Senate. I mean,
well, the idea of the Galactic Senate might have been cooler if we could have spent more time explaining things. Yeah,
if we had gotten harder into the trade negotiations, I think we would.
Yes, I don't understand how Galactic 4 gets their bread or whatever. So
Misa think.
Yes, Misa think. Wow, that's fantastic. But yeah, I mean. This was one of the hardest comics I've had to read for a while because it was all text box exposition, and I did not think that was going to happen with this series because book 1 and 2 are so fucking good.
Yeah,
and this was like such a downer.
Yeah, and like we said, like it really felt like Kid MiracleMan's the main villain, then he has to go in like hiding and like figure out how to get back out. You have Dr. Gargunza come in and fill in that role, and we get the backstory. And then we thought the buildup would be to this epic conclusion of him fighting Kid MiracleMan again, which obviously he did, but it just happened so quick. And then we had all this time left where he had to like fill in all this extra exposition, or not exposition, but all this extra stuff that he had to
squeeze all the storyline in.
And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like
it felt flat.
It felt flat. It felt weird. I was enjoying some of the concepts and some of the ideas, but it's hard when you open a book and the page is just words, and it's a comic book. Not a book, sorry. When you open a comic book and the page is one splash page of a dude flying, and then the rest of it is all giant boxes of text, I'm like, this makes me not want to read this comic.
This is not a comic book.
Yeah. And so that was hard to take in. It was hard to read a lot of it, but there was some very cool moments. And I mean, I do think the series is worth reading overall.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
As a concept and everything. But I just think this was like a horrible way to end this.
The ending story. Is just unfortunately a letdown.
Yeah. Now it's that might change. There is a Neil Gaiman written 6 issues that Marvel did after this when they got the rights back. They were like, here's the original, and now we're going to do our own little 6-issue miniseries. So we're not going to read that as part of this. Maybe we'll read it way later on.
Yeah, I need a break from MiracleMan.
Yeah. No, this was just like, oh, I can't wait to read this last one. It's going to be so good. What the fuck?
I know we hyped this so bad.
So whatever. You never know. I mean, we read all the Frank Miller stuff just to see what it was. Like
did you ever play those like little mini? This is a side quest, but this pertains to
side quest
or a side story that pertains to this. Do you ever play those old like little putting games are like little, not necessarily putting, but what's the like when you go play putter, the miniature golf, and you're like you play and like you hit the ball and they have like the crowd there or whatever, and it's like and then you like hope it goes in so they clap or whatever, and it goes past the hole and they're like, oh. That's what I felt like this was doing the entire time.
Yes.
Like, more reading. Something happened again?
Yeah, I kept waiting for it to stop being exposition.
Yes.
But no. It didn't do
Turn
that.
the page and there's more dancing.
Yeah. Oh man, the dancing issue. Dancing. So much dancing. But, as a concept, I liked this whole series, but I just think this last 6 issues was like such a flub as far as, what it could have been.
So I already have my number, but I want to hear what because I feel like you were hit harder on this one than I was.
Oh,
so I want to know what you thought of it first this time.
Okay. So obviously, like I said, the ideas in this are really cool. They do pay off the fight scene with Kid MiracleMan, so at least there's that. So they pay that off. There was dancing, but at least they had that. And then they do pay off. They at least have the idea that like Liz, what was done to Liz was wrong, and I think that was definitely conveyed in the comic.
That's true. What's one of the most key things is like that she didn't do anything to deserve.
No,
this.
all she did was love her man, and then love who she thought was her man.
Yeah,
and then got pregnant, had a baby that she loved. I mean, he fucking birthed it with her, and they were crying together, and.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, this is our baby. And then it was like, you know what? Never mind. You're out. You were just a cow or whatever. Like we don't really care about you because you're not going along with the plan.
This got done dirty.
Yeah. And so I think, but he showed that. And I don't think he hit any of that. And that's why I think there is a sinister undertone to MiracleMan's good works or whatever, So it brings that question. Even if someone does something good, do the ends justify the means?
Oh, yeah.
Like, if I murder everybody, but that creates world peace, is that worth it? Or if I, go to every prison, or if I, institute a death penalty that's so harsh that, like, no one does crime anymore, because if you do anything, you fucking die, and we have robots on the streets that make sure that happens, is that worth it?
Yeah,
we don't have crime.
In fear all
like, do I know what's going to happen if I steal this apple? Yes, you get your head blown off. So, like, there is levels that this begs the question of, and I like that, and I think it's interesting. So yeah, I think it's valid for that a lot. But out of all books, I think I gave the second one an 8, or the first one an 8, the second one a 9. This one's getting a 6, maybe. It's getting a 6. I still liked what I read that was awesome in it. But there was so much fucking dialogue, and that dancing almost made it a 5. But I mean, like, the reason, like, at least it wrapped up its storylines and everything. It wasn't like, you remember in, like, Hush? Hush is our 5, right? So Hush is like it was readable. Yeah, that had a lot of dialogue too. And it was also like, this is the bad guy. No, this is the bad guy. No, this is like, it was fooling us in quotation marks. Like, it was just annoying us with, red herrings and all this shit. Trying to be clever. And it was about 8 issues too long or whatever. So like, this one I felt was just too much info crammed in. There wasn't enough issues. Like I said, it felt like he wasn't given his space, and he had to get this full out idea in there. So I feel like it's 6. It's definitely better than our Batman Hush. Thank you. But
we record these late. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah. Hush was, it's definitely better than Hush, but it does wrap up the series. It does conclude everything, but it does it in a way I would never want it to have it done. So I hated that. It's like if your favorite show, there's shows that end and they didn't know they were going to end, so they wrap everything up in like 2 episodes.
And you're like, I guess that works.
Yeah, like what was it? Like the biggest one is like Dollhouse.
Dollhouse, yeah.
Dollhouse has like, we're getting canceled, and we got three episodes to wrap this thing up, and so they had like cut to 20 years in the future, and like fucking wrap this shit up. But that's basically what he did. He cut to 1987 and was like, remember back then when all this other shit happened? That was crazy. And now I live on Olympus. And like, it's just like, what is going on? So, yeah, I think it's worth reading. And this is definitely, especially for the time, one of the most groundbreaking stories I can think of. I also like how Alan Moore was morally ambiguous as far as he wasn't telling you his politics. He was telling you maybe MiracleMan's politics, and also, but leaving in there the obviously there's some things in here that are not cool. Like Liz, like, hey, maybe I am wrong about certain things. That's what his last line is. Maybe I am wrong. Like basically, and it's like, why did she not go with me or whatever? So, that's just right there, like him being to me, that's a good writer, because you're leaving it open for a lot of it's like, what are your politics? What are you reading into this? And then also how you think.
Yeah, especially more in like some modern comics. Like it definitely gets more like, here's the politics and this is right. And
if you don't agree with this, you're fucking terrible. So like,
that's true. I mean, it can definitely get that way nowadays. Yes. But this is definitely a little more ambiguous and like little like.
Right. Because we all know Alan Moore is liberal. So the idea that he's against, nuclear war and stuff or nuclear arms. Yeah, no shit. So, like, the fact that MiracleMan does that, it was refreshing to have him be like, yeah, obviously I want these things. Obviously I'm sure he thinks socialism or whatever is great. So, there you go. He takes away all money and he basically starts like his own socialist utopia. But still there's the question back there of, what about personal choice in some of this or whatever? Like he does let them do choices though. Like, he gives Liz the choice, but he doesn't understand the choice.
Yeah.
And it also begs the question, well, if you're a god sitting up there, are you going to eventually go like, nah, I don't think they should have a choice? Like maybe he turns like that later. You don't know. There could be lots more stories of MiracleMan.
Yeah, MiracleMan. I could see MiracleMan becoming the villain.
Yes, so very much so. And so that would be cool. Marvel would never put that out now. But if you could it would be so cool to have someone write that now. Not the original author, but he will not do it probably. No. But yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 6. I know that was a long explanation of why, but a 6 for sure.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. This was on Batman Hush level for me. This is a 5.
Okay.
I have really enjoyed doing this with you, and I really enjoy getting into comics and getting excited about reading them. And it's particularly this, and I think that's probably why mine more is a 5.
You were so excited.
It's because I was so. When you talked to MiracleMan, I was like, all right, let's do this. And then I read the first one, I was like, I'm ready for the second one. And then I read the second one, I'm like, I'm ready for the third one.
I was too. I was so sad because if I had read the third one, I would have just said, let's just read 1 and 2. But I didn't because I was saving it for the podcast.
Yeah, again, nothing to Alan Moore and his incredible writing, and in general, like we said, we don't know exactly how he had to put this together.
It had to be. He's not like this in any other comic I've read.
And then again, not that I didn't like the concepts and the art wasn't fantastic. Oh yeah,
the art's fantastic in all of it, pretty much.
Yeah, the children were way better in this than the last one.
Yes,
but it just in particular, it was the fact that it was just like you said, just some pages were just. I felt like I was reading a novel and not like reading a comic book get like. And I know that also sounds a little like oh, why don't you go pick another? But like that's why I read a comic book is like
Egghead likes his bookie book.
Yeah, like I will go and read a book when I want to read one. I will go and read a Stephen King novel when I want to like sit down and get really engrossed in like in my imagination.
Yeah, I'll turn on Audible and I'll go read. A Stephen King novel.
No, but like if I'm going to read a comic, like you are also getting it for the art and like the storytelling.
I definitely want to see
take place, and I want to be able to see the goddamn art. This isn't a 50s or 60s comic where Stan Lee and is written over half of the art.
Yeah, or more,
Yeah. So, I think because of that and because of the sheer letdown that I felt from it.
I feel that.
This is a 5 for me.
Yeah, I was thinking about a 5 too, but then just the concepts in this are so much bigger than a 5 to me, then I'm like, I can't give it a 5. I can't give it higher than a 6 though, because it definitely was not that, as far as comic book.
Not be giving the first one a 7 too. There's no way this is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's no way this is on level with that. Because that one's all set up, right? So like that one, the only reason it's a 7 and not like an 8 or 9 is because, okay, it's very cool ideas, but it's just set up. And it leaves you hanging with, I'm pregnant. So then you're kind of like, oh shit, I got to read 2.
Yeah.
And then that one leaves you hanging with, he's the Kid MiracleMan. He's evil. He's coming back. And then they give you this, and I was like, what the fuck? So I won't go on. I could talk about how disappointed I was, but you give it a 5. I give it a 6. I still would recommend read MiracleMan all the way through.
I would read it. I'll read all 3 once, and I would go back and probably reread 1 and 2 again. For sure. Because after I've had this out of my mind for a bit, I will probably go back and reread. I liked MiracleMan, and I'll get to the 3rd and be like, little red flag going up here. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Wait, let me just skip to.
Let me go back and see our episode. What did I give it? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, and maybe in a year or something, we'll be like, hey, let's dip our toe in MiracleMan again. We'll read the Neil Gaiman series or something.
There you go.
It's only 6 issues, I think, too.
Cool.
But it's Neil Gaiman. It's a totally different.
But flavor. Neil Gaiman knew he had 6 issues going into it.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this was written in like 2014.
Perfect.
So it was him like, oh, we're bringing back MiracleMan. We're reprinting it. Let's do a little series to get some new blood in there.
That's fun. I don't think we've read any Neil Gaiman yet, have we?
No.
Oh, we need help on that.
We need help on that. You know what? Sandman. We already have a book picked out for next week. But after that, we're reading
Sandman. Okay. Next week, we're reading.
Next week, we are going to read MPD Psycho. It is a manga. It is volume 1. And if you follow our YouTube, I have already read it. I liked it a lot. But John here hasn't read it. And then sometimes when I read a book that I think is really, really good, I'm like, John, you have to fucking read it. And we'll do it on the podcast and do like a whole hour about it.
Yeah, well, that way we can and we'll hash it out more too. So.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've been picking good ones because I just to reiterate, if you haven't listened to any of our manga issues, listen to some of them if you're on the fence about it, because I was on the fence about reading manga because I was like, I'll either watch an anime if I really want to watch one, or like, I'll someday maybe. I'll put it off. But like actually finally dipping my toe into these is like, everyone I've read have been like, oh, that's a really fun story. That was really cool. It was way more intense than I thought it would be.
I have read some that aren't, but I don't tell you about those.
Yes.
So that's why I'm doing the hard work
for us, and I appreciate
picking ones that I'm reading and going, nope, don't like that one. And then I'll pick one.
I appreciate Matt is screening these for me and telling me the good ones. I like it.
But to be fair, I haven't read too many ones I was like, nah. But most of them are just ones I don't realize are, in a certain genre or whatever, because I don't know the genres. I'm just like, oh, this one sounds cool.
Well, we just need our fans that are of them to tell us more. And we know,
Otaku Mike, where you at?
Tell us some more good mangas to read. But yeah, so MPD Psycho
Volume 1.
Volume 1 next week.
Yes, it is awesome and creepy, and
I'm excited to check it out.
Yes, and if you do like it, we gotta watch Hannibal. The show Hannibal.
Oh, it has you can see
very similar. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I've been putting off Hannibal because I love Hannibal Lecter so much from the Anthony Hopkins perspective.
No, Mads Mikkelsen is the fucking Hannibal.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of it because of that. I've been so like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to like change my perception.
I read all the books.
Yeah, and
I watched all the movies, and I watched Hannibal the show, and Hannibal the show by far is my favorite version of Hannibal.
Okay.
Just the first 2 seasons.
I read two books, and yeah, like I said, I like the movies. I've especially Red Dragon. Red Dragon's really fun.
I like the. We're going off on books now, but
yes.
Anyway, we'll talk about that next time. We get into MPD Psycho. But yeah. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestrains.comicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
I almost started to say that one to trip you up, see if you'd have to say what I usually say.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for exclusive content. We've also got our Twitter out there as well, and our Instagram. We're definitely trying to keep them all connected, get everybody on all social medias available.
Facebook, all that stuff.
And we're getting some more comments now, so we appreciate it. Let us know what you're liking. Let us know what you're not liking. And, maybe we'll start to right now we're doing what we like because we're not getting as much feedback. When I review
comics, it's just, hey, what's a new number 1 that looks interesting to Matt? If someone suggests some ones that they want, maybe I'll expand something. But as of now, it's just whatever I feel like doing. So
on that note, I guess we'll catch you on the next one we pick.
Bye.
Bye.